Well, how y'all doing? This is just a little mail call thing right here, so I'll just go ahead and jump into it. All of these guys are TwoSuns. I do have some other knives on the way, but well, this was just a chunk of stuff that came in from eBay. So this one actually should probably look familiar. How about if I zoom in a little bit? This is the 207. However, this one's the one with the Tonto instead of the drop point. Still hologrant. Neat. It's rattlesnake design. It's still 14C28N. Something I have noticed is that the satin finish on the Tonto tip here is actually quite aggressive. It has kind of a grippy feel to it, whereas the hologrind certainly doesn't. So it's a little bit interesting and different because the drop point didn't really have all that sort of stuff going on. Now this next one was pretty interesting. I am trying to locate which one it is. 231. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah. This little snub-nosed looking little dude. Um, nice titanium handles going on there with the milled titanium pocket clip with a lot of the same kind of milling lines and everything. Also in 14C28N. And if you're not familiar with that logo there, let's see, I got his name written down here. It's Vincent Oliver. But the action's super nice on this guy. And because that juts out a little bit, you don't really get as much of that effect of a pocket pecker kind of thing going on there, which is pretty cool. From what I've seen, there's no skeletonization going on the inside, but I mean, it's a fairly slimline, fully titanium body, and yeah, it's got some super nice action. The only thing I've noticed is that it's got this cutout here, but that's also where the finger groove is, and it's not exactly the most accessible. You can probably do a little bit of the Spidey flick for it, but it is certainly not thumb accessible. Alrighty, and I got another one from YX Designs. It's another double detent. The one I had taken a look at first of all was the 241. Well, I might not have actually done a full review on that one yet. I know I started doing some cut testing on it at least. But this is the 244, which is a lot more of a worn foot kind of design to it. Same striated carbon fiber, so not necessarily a weave, but it's still super strong. And yeah, it's double detent, so it doesn't lock, but it's easy enough to flick open and flick closed. And yeah, it is two pieces of carbon fiber. It's not like a unibody or anything super crazy like that. And these three screws on each side actually hold the liners in that are pretty much identical on both sides. This one isn't an S90V though. It's an M390, which yeah, it's kind of neat. Also kind of fun to play around with. Something I have noticed that this one has quite a few differences over a lot of other TwoSuns. First of all the hardware is T6. It's not T8. That includes the pivot screw. Which is, I mean, I can certainly understand with its small size, but I would still at least like to see T8s for, the pivot on the back collar or the back pillar or whatever you would say. And the other thing that I found interesting once I took this apart earlier today was it is riding on bearings, But those bearings are not ceramic, they are steel. And it's probably mostly because they didn't have access and or they don't really like using very, very, very super tiny ceramic bearings. So they used steel cages. They're still nylon cages for them. They're not brass or anything else. And there's a few less of them than they do in their larger ones. But hey, the action works out all right. So yeah, I'd like to get a little bit more experience on doing some cutting with some of those guys. And this last one is well, it's a little bit different. Let's see. Yeah, this is the TS520. And yeah, here I'll raise things up because this guy's a little bit larger. It's well, it's technically a fixed blade, but yeah, it's one of their kitchen knives. Now, a lot of their kitchen knives are in the 900 range, but I guess this one's in the 500s. Doesn't have a particular designer associated with it, so it's a TwoSun design. And this one is actually in, yeah, you can see that pretty nicely there, in their kind of Damascus stuff. And I would assume most people probably don't know exactly what they're using for their Damascus steel. They have plenty of options. They don't really mention if it's stainless or not, but it certainly looks that way to me. So it could be 5CR15 MOV, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's basically the Chinese equivalent of what is it? 5XR15 MOV that a lot of German manufacturers like Messermeister would use on quite a few things. Which is, it's fairly soft steel, but hey, that's for kitchen knives. It's just kind of one of the popular kind of things that they use. It could be 9CR18 MOV that some other folks like we and Civivi use. It could be VG10 like Kaiser uses, and also the Shun knives that Kai/Kershaw, whatever, use. It could be something completely different. I don't know. What I do have to say is this guy is hefty. Now I do have a. It's not forged, but my favorite knife, pretty close to this, has been a Messermeister. I probably should have grabbed it, but I'll probably do that for the review on this thing instead. But yeah, I really do like these blade shapes and everything. But that Messermeister is a Park Place design, so it's got their their polypropylene handles, but it's not fully forged. This one is, and the steel feels a little bit thicker, so it's got a bit more weight to it than that one does. Obviously, this one doesn't have the Granton Edge or Cullen Schliff or whatever you want to call it, the little divots that they would cut in there. And I do actually kind of like that for vegetable knives. Things like, especially sweet potatoes and things like that. It helps. It's not foolproof, but it helps them let go of the blade as you're cutting through things. So there's that. You can kind of see a little bit with the collar that it's not fully super central. It favors the right side just a little bit, but at least for me, doing the pinch grip on it, that actually works out to my advantage. So I'm kind of assuming that was probably intentional. And the last thing that I'm not fully sure about is the handle. Now, this certainly looks natural. I can see a lot of wood grain and whatnot going in there, so I'm going to assume that this is probably some sort of stabilized wood, like Paca wood or something like that. But they do make some of their other kitchen knives in G10, Um, and something else that I can't remember off the top of my head. But this certainly doesn't look or feel like G10 to me. So yeah, this one's pretty interesting, and I can see a lot of the natural fibers in there. But yeah, this guy seems like he could go through a whole bunch of veggies, which is hopefully what I'll be using them for. It's yeah, it's got a nice heft to it. It's certainly a vegetable knife. This isn't really, a meat cleaver, which is kind of a misnomer because they're usually used for separating bones and whatnot. So more of a bone cleaver, I guess. But I guess traditionally a meat cleaver would also have a hole in the top, pretty much designed for you to hang up with your pots and pans above the stove, because generally their edges aren't super incredibly sharp because they're made for going through cartilage and doing a lot of violent work. This isn't. This is more of a Chinese vegetable cleaver sort of thing. Maybe a little bit shorter than some out there, but I certainly like the design quite a bit. It is interesting. I was actually thinking about picking this guy up for a gift for some people. And after handling this and with the heft of it and everything, it's probably not going to work out for them. But I do have a couple of their other kitchen knives, a little bit more of their European chef's knife, 8-inch sort of guys coming, in the next month or two. And yeah, I'll take a look at them and do plan on gifting most of those. I do have another chef's knife. I don't actually use it all that often, but it's a 9.5-inch knife from Nexus, which was kind of interesting because they use BD1N for their steel on there, which I thought was a pretty high-end stainless steel for, kitchen cutlery. So I wanted to check that out. I have that and a boning knife from them that well, I don't really use a chef's knife for all that much because you need a huge cutting board for it. And I have one, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to wash in the sink. So it kind of sits around a little bit. But it's a nice knife. The boning knife I actually use quite often, along with my bread knife to disassemble pineapples because I don't know, I eat a lot of them. But yeah, this guy seems like a nice burly kind of thing. I can see, or I can certainly feel that the bolster and the handle aren't exceptionally matched on an equal level or anything. It's not like this is a Bob Kramer design or anything super crazy like that. Like I paid in the mid 40s, I think, for the thing, and yeah, I mean it feels super nice. It does remind me uh, of the Shun knives, especially with like the pack of wood style handles. Even though those are black on black, they're not black on natural / orange or whatever. But it does remind me quite a bit of them. And yeah, I'm also looking forward to disassembling some food with this thing and coming back with some more useful results. But yeah, those are the knives that I basically had come in earlier today. It was a good set of 4. I still have, at this point, quite a few coming in. I've won like another 3 or 4 this evening, so that was kind of neat. Some of them are chef's knives. I think the rest of the chef's knives that I've got are not in their Damascus. They're specifically in 14C28N, which, given my track record with how TwoSun actually treats their 14C, sounds like it's a fantastic idea for using on some of their chef's knives. So we'll see how that works. And like I said, they'll probably be going out as, some gifts and whatnot at some point. But, yeah, I think I'm going to hold on to this one because, well, I like it, and it's a bit heavy for, someone who's not used to wielding a larger knife. It does come with a little blade guard here, but, it's certainly not something that locks in, so I'll probably end up using my standard blade guard on this thing, so I can keep it in front of the silverware in a drawer because I don't have a knife block that'll actually fit one of these guys. So that's the way I've held my other ones. Yeah, some neat guys. These guys are kind of almost variants of knives that I already have, but that's all right. And yeah, this guy is super interesting. Very, very thin in the back, but really quite comfortable. I do like the shape. I didn't actually realize when I was purchasing it that there is a little bit of a recurve up here at the near the hilt or pivot, whatever you want to say. But I mean, recurves don't really bother me. I have no problem sharpening them. But I know a lot of people, especially sharpening on stones or any of the stone-based guided systems, kind of have a problem with some. This one's pretty gradual, so it's certainly easily sharpenable. But yeah, interesting little guy. I do plan on trying to do some anodization on this one, especially because it's got so many different pieces with the backspacer, both the sides there and the clip that are titanium for me to go to town on. So yeah. All right. Well, this probably went on a heck of a lot longer than I really wanted to for a mail video. But there we are. Another couple of neat knives that I will have full reviews coming out for when their number comes up. And I've also spent enough time with them to actually, give you a full review instead of just first impressions like this. So, all right. Yeah. As always, I've been Jerry, and hope you have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.